Welcome to this edition of Talk with Taz Live. Today I want to have just a quick conversation with you about a principle that I've been meditating on. And I thought as I was getting insight that I would share this insight with you also. And basically I've been thinking about the need to let some things go and just how difficult that is. So, sometimes we have to shift, we have to move on, we've got to change our focus. And it sounds easy, folks will say, well, just, change that, look at it differently. But that's not always an easy thing to do. And so I thought about why is it so hard? Well, sometimes we find that we've married ourselves to a particular thought, an idea, a plan. And when we've done that, just like in a traditional marriage, it's hard to make decisions about leaving that marriage if it's not working out for you. So when I thought about this, I said, okay, if it's like a marriage, then it's going to be a little challenging for you to make the shift. And so I thought and I thought and I thought. I'm like, okay, why did I marry myself to this idea? Well, I realized that I married myself to the idea because at the time, I thought it was revolutionary. I thought it was going to propel me either into my personal goals or either my professional goals. But when I had this idea or this plan, I was a totally different person. When you look at who you are now and who you were, say, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even 20 years ago, certainly we've changed because we've experienced life. And so our perspective should have been shifting the way that we view things. So when we look at whether we're going to continue along a path, we've got to determine, does this current path still meet my needs? Or let me say it differently. Does the idea or the goal that I had 3 years ago, 5 years ago, however long it was, does it still meet my needs today? Well, that's frightening because if it doesn't meet your needs, then you've got to shift. You've got to make a change. So then I was like, okay, so am I stuck and I can't get out? Now we all remember, not everybody, but some of us remember I've fallen and I can't get up. And I thought, oh, being stuck, you're stuck once you realize it, but you can't get out. So I thought, okay, now what does that really mean? How do I break that down? And then I thought about a dessert that I had years ago. When I had it, I thought it was the best thing. It was cheesecake. I'd gone to this restaurant, had the cheesecake. I remember telling everybody about the cheesecake, even my mom. And what made the cheesecake so special to me was it was a graham cracker crust, but it had pecan chips in it. And it just made the cheesecake just absolutely fabulous. It just melted in your mouth because you had the textures going on. It was just wonderful. Well, after a while, I kept going back to this particular restaurant. I was a faithful patron, always having the cheesecake. Well, it took a few years, but then I was invited to a holiday corporate event. And so my friend who invited me, I went with her. We're classmates. And so I had the Bourbon Pecan Pie. We were at a resort. And I was like, oh my goodness, this Bourbon Pecan Pie is the best ever. Well, I originally thought that cheesecake was the best ever, but then I had the Bourbon Pecan Pie and it was the best ever. And the lesson from that was that, you think that what you've encountered, what you're experiencing, you think the idea, the plan that you had is the best. But as you continue to live, you will find that there are other avenues to achieve your goal. Likewise, I thought that cheesecake with that graham cracker crumb crust with the pecans was the best. But then I had that Bourbon Pecan Pie. And that Bourbon Pecan Pie, I still remember that today. So again, don't be afraid to make the shift. But then I thought, okay, you've thought about it a different way and it makes sense to you because you're a cook, you're a baker. But how are you going to make this a reality? And I came up with 6 strategies that I'm going to use to make sure that I'm not stuck and I can't get out. And so the strategies that I came up with is I got to liberate myself from the past. Like I had to liberate myself from the cheesecake. Got to free myself from that. Be open to other desserts. Like I found out that Bourbon Pecan Pie, it was good. Then I've got to seek my purpose. Only I can find it. People can bring suggestions to you. They can bring ideas. They can bring plans. But only you know what your purpose is. And you have to walk in your purpose, not in someone else's purpose for you. The third thing was I got to learn to view opportunities differently. Opportunities come to all of us every day, even during this trying time that we're experiencing. But sometimes we're so busy being stuck that we see the opportunity, but we don't act on it. Well, time waits for no man or woman. You have to act. And that's an act of faith. Think about that. When we act, it's an act of faith, but that means we've got to view opportunities differently. They may be small opportunities, but we don't begrudge small beginnings, as a friend of mine used to say to me. We don't begrudge small beginnings because small beginnings can turn around and it's a large ending. But even with that, make small incremental changes every day. It's like when you're trying to lose weight or trying to improve your health, the doctor will tell you, well, just walk a little bit. If you walk 3 times a week, 10 minutes 3 times a week, you'll realize soon that it makes a huge difference. That's a small step, but it's an incremental step, and you continue it. Likewise, when we're trying to get out of our stuck place, we have to make small steps, small changes. And then the other is believe in me. Sometimes we look for others to be our cheerleaders, but you've got to believe in yourself because someone else may not even understand your dream. You may not even understand it, but it's the right thing to do. And that means you've got to be your own champion. You've got to be your own cheerleader. Days that go good and days that don't go so well, because you know what you're working towards. So believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And then you got to live life with a hopeful mindset. Now, what do I mean by hopeful? How do I say this in a nice way? Sometimes we know people, and sometimes those people are ourselves, that they Debbie Downers. They Debbie Downers. You come up with a good idea, you share something positive that's happened, they can always turn it around to a negative. Well, we don't want to be that person towards ourselves. And we also want to make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with individuals who are helping to plant, who are helping to fertilize, who are helping to seed, helping us to water, whatever it is that we're working towards. If they're not doing that, then what happens is they contaminate your mindset. And then you become a doubting person. You become a person who's discouraged. And that can just wipe out all hope. So you want to gain a hopeful mindset and keep that with you. And I tell you a secret about that hopeful mindset. That's something that you've got to protect because that's in your heart. It's in your heart. So you have to protect your heart from others as well as from yourself. Now, I've told you what my strategies are for making sure I'm no longer stuck and can't get up. So what I want you to do is, if you've got some other strategies that have worked for you or that you're trying, please put them in the comments section. We're trying to help everyone be the best person that they can be given their circumstances. And that's always going to change, and it's always going to be different for everyone. But my motto is always this: as long as you are making progress, it doesn't matter what it looks like to anyone else. And sometimes it doesn't even matter what it looks like to you. But when you can sit down and remove all the things that are going on around us and actually think about it, if you can see that your today is better than your yesterday, you've made progress. And I'm sorry, I just kind of felt choked up when I was trying to say that, because sometimes it's just a little thing that gives a person hope. And that's why it's so important to reflect on what transpires. You don't have to do it every day. You can do it weekly or you can do it monthly, but to reflect on where you are and where you used to be. And you will see that you're far better today than what you used to be. So This has been Talk with Taz Live. I want to hop on and hop off, but leave your comments about strategies or methods or approaches that you're using to make sure that you're not stuck and that you can move forward. Until next time, as always, take care of you. Bye.